advice to like for say like somebody, and I think that's probably the basic mistake, that people make who are trying anal is they think it's just like a lot of times, somebody will be drinking or having fun, whatever, and they'll just go from
just put it in,
just put it in, right? And just maybe some spit. So what would be your first advice that you'd say? Obviously, I know better than just not spit and go. What would be your first advice you would give somebody a guy or a girl who wants to try anal?
I mean, definitely the cleaning. The cleaning is like.
And how would you recommend the cleaning?
So I personally use a shower douche attachment. So I screw off my own shower head. I put this attachment on, goes up my butt, I count to 10, and then I pull it out. And then I do that as many times as necessary until the water runs clear.
So you're putting water, just so people understand, you're putting water, like a high-powered water from a shower, up your rectum until
not too
all the way.
High pressure.
Not too high pressure.
Well, I'm saying shower pressure.
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, they recommend
not like a douche pressure, like a shower pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I've had days where I've had like a particularly stubborn piece of fecal matter where I've had to turn the pressure up. But most days I try to keep the pressure low. And I try not to put it too deep in because then you can get very bloated and get,
So like a slow shower stream of water that you put up.
Like a sort of moderate, like not too low, not too high. And often with the douche attachments, the spray comes out like all angles, like this, like they have many holes in them. I don't really know
Sounds
why.
Quite beautiful, like going to Vegas and seeing
beautiful,
show. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And so you would recommend that people do you before you put the attachment in, do you lube the attachment before you put it in?
I personally just spit on my finger.
Okay.
And I rub some spit on my ass because when I first started doing this, I did use some lube.
Okay.
But now I'm obviously more adjusted. Oftentimes I don't really need to use anything. Like the water is generally enough for me.
Was it easy to learn how to clean? Because this was part of this journey.
No. There was some, trial and errors with the cleaning, definitely. So the first time I used it, I got so excited by this sensation of, water shooting out my asshole. It's hard to describe because it's really what's the word?
This might seem like a gross question, but does it feel like having diarrhea?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and
But
that kind of feels
stomachache.
satisfying when you get it all out, like squirting the water out your ass.
It's when you look at it afterwards.
Oh yeah.
You got to have a look before you flush.
Of course.
I don't know why, but you have to.
And it's usually
It's
all
healthy.
over the toilet bowl as well, and you're like,
Yeah.
fucking great. Let's get the Harpic Power Plus.
The worst
out.
is when it goes under the seat, and you're like,
Yeah.
how did it get under the seat?
the spray.
Yeah,
spray.
it's just awful.
So your first advice, so someone who's a basic beginner, you'd say in the beginning it might be good advice if you're is to invest in the shower douche would be your first advice?
Absolutely.
So your first advice would be if we're going to start off from ground one, invest in the shower douche. In the beginning, you probably want to lube it up before you enter it inside your rectum.
Yeah, and you should not put it too deep
Not too deep.
Otherwise,
And a slow and steady stream of water, and keep repeating until you're empty.
Yeah, so I think I said 10 seconds, but I actually count for 5 seconds.
Okay.
So I put it in, count for 5, pull it out, whatever comes out.
And then I rinse and repeat until everything's
and
clear.
you do that some days it takes 15 minutes. Some days it can take an hour because sometimes, like I said, you can have a stubborn. You can feel it.
I know.
Hour sounds like
when models come on our sets and we're shooting anal, sometimes they'll have to prep before, and sometimes they want to prep before they come to our studio.
I had no idea.
And and sometimes I've known girls I'm good to go, and it's been 2 minutes, and then other times the girl's been in the shower for an hour.
Yeah, it really depends on obviously like what your colon is doing, and because if you like I recently had an experience like I mentioned earlier where I could feel, so like 90% of the stuff had come out of my bum, but I could feel that there was a really stubborn piece of shit like quite high up. So I turned the pressure up really high and I was like, I'm gonna fucking get you out if it's the last thing I do. And eventually, after an hour, it finally came out. But that doesn't happen very often. It's not normally that difficult, and it's better if you can go to the toilet beforehand so you get out what you can.
Before your first basic step before you even use the shower then would be go to the restroom like normal.
If you need to, like obviously don't force